The Hippie Movement by Caitlin Bish, Mackenzie Jenkins, and Paige Bush for Mr. Bennett's Silver 1 and Blue 1 U.S. History class. A hippie is a member of a liberal counterculture, originally a youth movement that started in the United States and the United Kingdom during the mid-1960s and spread to other countries around the world.
Hippies started making an appearance during the early 1960s. Hippies were known for creating their own communities and for listening to psychedelic music. Psychedelic music is slow, low-beat music often listened to for relaxation.
The hippies were very anti-war. They did not want anything to do with the war or to support it in any way. They were also against segregation and saw everyone as one. Hippies were often younger groups of people. They were so against the war because they were the ones being drafted into it. Hippies rejected older generations' rules and rebelled against normal American values.
The hippie movement solely started after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, but really started up once the Vietnam War gained recognition. As the war went on, many saw their world being demolished, and this was not how they wanted to live. They wanted everyone to get along and for the world to be a happy and free place.
The hippie movement was a group of members during the 1960s and 1970s of a countercultural movement that rejected the norms of mainstream American life. The movement originated on college campuses in the United States, although it spread to other countries, including Canada and Britain. Hippies began protesting in San Francisco, California, and this later spread to many places throughout the United States. They traveled across the country to be a part of sit-ins and marches and against segregation in the South.
In December of 1963, many young men gathered to burn their draft cards. The draft cards were the card you needed to be able to go into the war. These hippies were doing this since they were against the war and did not want to be put into the Vietnam War. After the first burning of the draft cards in May of 1965, the Supreme Court made it illegal to burn your draft card, and the young men could possibly be convicted of doing so. In New York and San Francisco, there were very large protest gatherings of the burnings even after it was illegal.
Many hippies participated in freedom rides. From May to November of 1961, more than 400 black and white Americans risked their lives and rode on segregated buses through the Deep South. Many suffered beatings and imprisonment. They violated Jim Crow laws in a stop to end segregation forever.
The Women's Strike for Peace was the largest peace protest of the 20th century. In November of 1961, 50,000 women came together in 60 different cities to protest against the slogan used in the Cold War, "In the arms race, not the human race." Many also gathered outside the White House to show President Kennedy the problem that was occurring. The organization consisted of mothers who feared the effects of the nuclear proliferation because they worried about the health of their children's short and long term. They worried about the increase in nuclear testing.
This movement started in the 1960s to the early 1970s. Hippies went against society's morals and attitudes. Hippies were known for their love and compassion for others. The hippie movement involved protests against violence and promoted free love. The Vietnam War was one of the main reasons why the movement started. It began with a small group of college students who had enough. They weren't afraid to speak their mind about the war. These activists, later known as hippies, didn't believe our country should be involved with Vietnam's issues. The hippies thought that we should not be in the war at all.